Alan, it's time for us to talk about Eddington. This is the, I believe, fourth feature film from Ari Aster. He did the movie Hereditary. Hereditary was a great horror film. Just great. And then he did
69.
Midsummer, also a very surprising horror film. And then Beau is Afraid, which I like the first half. I got a big problem with the second half. I did not like Beau is Afraid. And the thing is, even though I really enjoyed Hereditary and Midsummer, they both suffer from the same problem. They're too long, way north of 2 hours. I feel like all of his movies would benefit from a tightening. Tighten it. So, but Eddington is his take on 2020. The year 2020, a lot happened. We had the pandemic. We had the lockdowns. We had BLM.
Yeah, George Floyd.
And George Floyd and all of that. This focuses on a small New Mexico town called Eddington. Joaquin Phoenix plays Joe Cross, the sheriff in the town. And we find them in the midst of the pandemic. And he's being schooled by two sheriffs from another town, cops saying, put your mask on. You have to have your mask on, even though he's in his car alone. Pedro Pascal plays Ted Garcia. He's the mayor of the town who's a total corporate shill. I think Ted Garcia, as played by Pedro Pascal, who I hate to admit is good in the film because you really despise his character. He's being used by some corporation that wants to work out the zonings so they can build a factory in this town.
A data center.
A data center. He's basically Gavin Newsom. He's a tool. He's a total tool that says what he's supposed to say, does what he's supposed to do because people are controlling him. Joe has issues with his wife, Louise Cross, who's suffering from trauma from something that may have happened between her and Ted. And Joe, being so frustrated with all the mask rules and whatnot, goes off, makes a video where he just, in the middle of making the video, says, and that's why I'm running for mayor. So, and the video blows up. He's now on a full campaign. He gets his deputies, Michael, played by Michael Ward, and Guy, played by Luke Grimes. They help him in his campaign. And you see the sort of political sides play out. I will say, a lot of people are going to say, oh no, this movie's going to be super, it's going to push an agenda. It doesn't really. What it does is it deals with the types of people who weaponized all the rules during the pandemic. It deals with that, not left or right per se. And on that, I think the film does very good. And I'll say, when you're watching it, I saw it with a packed audience at an afternoon screening, packed screening, and people were laughing their asses off at the whole, pull it up over your nose. You can't do this. You got to be 6 feet away. When you see it dramatized in a movie, you really realize how ridiculous that whole era was. It doesn't overtly make fun of it, but just by showing it, you see how crazy people went. Additionally, George Floyd, that event happens on the news, and that there begins to be protests in town by all the young people. When that blows up, it's hilarious because it kind of mocks how these dumb white kids are taught, like, well, you don't even know about white privilege and whatever. And these teens that just want to hang out, be teens, are like, oh my God, I can't stand that social justice crap. And one character's talking to his parents and he says, white supremacy, and this is why what, and the dad at the table sitting with mom and dad, the dad looks at him and says, are you a fucking retard? You're white. This is like unreleasing a valve of something that Hollywood would never say about how dumb all this shit is. That's the first half of the movie. And then Joe Cross has a turn of character. And I won't go further than that. But the second half of the movie takes a turn where the audience, we're with Joe. We're with the movie. We're with Joe. His mayoral campaign, him standing up against these crazy rules. And then something happens in the middle that you kind of lose the audience. I won't go further than that, but I cannot stop thinking about this movie. I really want to see it again. It's too long, flawed, like Ari Aster's earlier movies. But God damn, if that first half of the movie, like if that first 90 minutes kind of went for another half hour and wrapped up, I would be all in. I'm giving it a recommend. I would say a strong recommend, but there are things, this will create conversations. And by the way, I saw this movie at AMC Burbank, where to this day in 2025, I still see people wearing masks. And I hope they see this movie, and I hope they see how ridiculous they look now, and maybe reevaluate how they treated others during that time, shaming others. So the movie grapples with really good ideas, gets muddled in the end, and has one of the strangest endings that might be kind of a comment on Biden. Kind of a comment, a little subtle comment on Biden. Might be. So in the end, I can't stop thinking about it. Want to see it again. Alan, what did you think of Eddington?
Yeah, everything you said is wrong.
No.
Yeah, no,
that's what I took away.
Okay. I think I wanted to believe everything you said. I wanted to believe that he was being fair. I wanted to believe that he was hitting both sides. But the more I watched it, the more I realized, no, he's not. He is showing both sides. I think there's frustrations he may have with these protesters, but not in any way that makes you think that maybe they're doing the wrong thing. They're just looking stupid. Look, we live in a country that's divided politically to the point where one side really hates the other side, and I feel like this movie is from that standpoint of the
Yes.
side that this is not a. Let's put it this way. If I were to reframe it differently than you, the feeling I got is Ari Aster. He wants you to kind of sympathize with the conservatives, with the right. And so he creates characters. He gives them some sympathy and things like that. And then the second half. And let's just put it that way. Which to me is like, this is the feeling I had all the way through it, that it seems like he might like conservatives, but he doesn't. He really doesn't. And that's what I got out of this. If you told me that this was an Ari Aster movie, maybe in style, but comparing this to Heredity, to Midsummer, this is a low budget comedy. The thing that I found interesting about it is that you took the macro. Remember during 2020, all these big protests, all these things.
Yeah.
Now you throw it into this small desert town in New Mexico. And I think that was an interesting way to show it. But I will tell you the biggest problem with this movie and why I came to the conclusions I came with. If he was going for both sides, if he was trying to point out the foibles of humanity and the divide we're in, this movie should have been a satire. But this wasn't a satire at all. It was just presenting the craziness of the protesters, the craziness of the conservatives, but provided no social provided no social commentary behind it. Provided no satire, no humor behind it. He's just presenting it, and then you go into the second half, which clearly states that I don't think this guy was anywhere near voting for. I think this guy was a Kamala supporter. All 100.
Look. I think look. The first half is a comedy bordering on satire. I don't know why I thought of this. I thought of the original MASH movie by Robert Altman. That is a satire. It is a satirical look at the Korean War. And it is brilliant. And this, for the first half, and to be fair, I did see it with the audience who was laughing. Everyone bursting out laughing. I feel like it's like an unbottled, like, we can laugh at this now because it was so dumb. And we can look at ourselves and realize, wow, a lot of people acted like assholes. Will they acknowledge that? So I feel like it's more fair that you need to give it more credit. It deserves
no, because I've seen MASH. And I understand
MASH is great.
MASH was great.
The movie.
But the thing is, the satire should have something to say. This just shows you the worst of both sides. And but it has nothing. It has no.
Because I don't mind that. Let me say real quick, and then I apologize for interrupting. We're passionate, folks.
I know.
When do we ever get one side of the political side ever get criticized or mocked or satirized at all? Never. To see it happen once, it's like, to see you go like, oh my God, finally someone is commenting on the ridiculousness, the stuff about BLM. The one character guy in the sheriff's office, and Michael goes, I didn't even think about that, I didn't even think about race at all until this BLM stuff. He calls it BLMs. BLM stuff happened. I didn't think about it. And it really does. It does poke fun at the protesting, how people are used, white guilt, like so many things that never, ever, never, ever get satirized or made fun of at all in film or media ever. So I give it credit. That first half, I was there.
Okay.
Especially when the dad said, "Are you fucking retarded? You're white." Like, yes.
Right.
Yes, this is stupid.
Yeah. But no, okay. The point I was trying to make is that there needs to be a point in your satire. You do need to take a side. Or you need to have enough knowledge and have thought about the issue so much that you know how to satirize it. I just felt like he hates a certain side, and he's not gonna go full in ripping into it. So he'll show some of the foibles of the other side. And I'll say this about the Biden ending. I doubt he thought of Biden when writing that role.
No, I'll tell you, they mentioned Biden.
Sure, yeah, they mentioned everybody. They mentioned Trump. They mentioned everybody. But that ending, I would venture to guess that Ari Aster thought that he was a full mind and body at the end of the election. And that this was a mere coincidence.
We don't know what's in his head. I haven't looked
up.
No,
but yes, I don't know what's in his head. But
I haven't looked up interviews with Ari Aster. All I know is what I saw in the film. And look, I'll take a flawed Ari Aster film, like all of his movies, Beau is Afraid being the weakest of them, over I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025, freaking rips off itself. It might as well have been made by AI, because who cares? I feel like it's worth supporting movies that take chances, try something new. Like, oh my God. And Joaquin Phoenix, the stuff that happens, it's a satire until it's not. Then it ends up being a total.
It's a criticism at the end.
There's
no doubt about the fact that there's just no doubt as to Ari Aster's politics when you get into that second half. And the other thing, just as a movie, it is too damn long. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yes.
And it didn't. Oh my God. At the 1 hour and 50-minute mark, I was like, I need this movie to be done. And then it goes into the third act.
Yeah.
Which was like, this is just not going to end. And then everything in this politically is so on the nose. Look, I don't think the vast majority of people walking away with this movie are saying, wow, that was a thoughtful discussion on politics.
Look, we're talking about it now. the point is, this movie is going to force conversations about that first half. You can look at, and I do feel like in a way this is like a Rorschach test, right? It's like you look at it, you're taking away. I'm not saying that you are wrong in your observations, Alan. I'm not calling you out. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't do that. When I have discussions about film, I don't say you're wrong. I know other critics that do that. I don't do that. I want to hear what you have to, what did you get out of it? Here's what I got out of it. We'll discuss. But you're not wrong. I'm not going to say your opinion is wrong. I'm saying I saw it differently. And I think to see a critique of the left and the way people used those rules to shame me, to shame you, that whole mask bullshit, which we find out now is bullshit, to see it criticized in a way in a movie and what this mind virus did to people, it's refreshing. That's all I'm saying. And
well,
I say to everyone watching, go see this movie for yourself. Go see for yourself.
Okay, so I'll let me say this about the first act. In terms of, we'll have a discussion about it. The problem is we've had the discussion and one side won. And it's about the masquerading. The second thing is, if we're going to have a discussion based on this movie, that discussion is thrown out the window with the second half, because that second half is going to piss off half of America, and I don't think if that was the intention, I don't think that's going to happen at the end of it.
Well, the problem is Joaquin Phoenix is amazing in this movie, and Pedro Pascal is actually good. He plays a great a-hole. He's Gavin Newsom, effectively, like a low rent Gavin, just corporate controlled BS. And, I just feel like you're with Joaquin until what happens in the middle. And that's the problem, that act. Yeah. So
well, let me just throw this thing in. Pedro and Joaquin, they're not known necessarily for being thoughtful when it comes to politics. Well, and I don't think that comes across in this movie at all.
Right. Well, I think Pedro is overcast and he's vocal politically, and that's why people don't like him. And many things can be true at once. He's also a great actor. And I'm told by someone who saw Fantastic Four, he's actually good as Reed. Make of that what you will. I know someone who saw it.
We'll know on Monday.
But he's very good in this. I want to get to your comments and whatnot.
I'll say he was really good in The Materialist. I liked him.
He was really good in The Materialist. So he's a good actor. He's in too many things. Alan, do you recommend it?
No.
Well, I'm recommending it. I'm not saying Alan is wrong. I'm saying I got something different out of the movie. I can't stop thinking about it. And I think it is a movie I will remember in a year of mostly crap. I'll take something flawed over crap. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was crap.
Yeah. I wanted to have your opinion midway through the first act. I really wanted it to feel like it was a satire about the 2020. But I could only cope so much to where at one point it was just,
the movie does some great things where it shows like even popular memes. It's like there's the meme where they show the galaxy and there's a little, arrow pointing. It says, "You are here paying taxes to pedophiles." Like, it's like great. The movie, there's a lot of people, like Instagram plays into the plot. Like you see the black squares, like to satirize that period. Maybe it should have been a straight comedy. That would have been better. It gets dark in the second half, but I still say worth seeing.
Should have been a comedy period.
Should have been a comedy period. On that we agree.